Hello, everybody. Oh, now it doesn't want to display my camera. That's alright, I'll fix that. Bam. Oh, look at that. Now it's all wonky. I got this. Don't know how, but whatever. We'll figure it out. How's everybody doing? Oh, come on. I was so worried about getting my sound right. I didn't even check on my camera. Oh well. Hey, how's everybody doing? Oh, hi. uh, what is going on, folks? I am sort of set up in my new apartment. I got the unicorn throw up machine next to me, and I got it set up. I even played with some VR this weekend. That was pretty fun. Making some dinner. I had dinner. I still have part of my dinner left that I can't eat yet. But I figured I'd give you all a stream. I go back to work, I think tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'm going to head out tomorrow. But, yeah. All right, what's going on here? Well, hello, Samantha. Sleek, what's up, Bubba? Lauren, hello. Yes, you are, mod. Erie. Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for joining. Oh, jeez. I forgot I even had that feature. I'm surprised YouTube didn't take it away from me for not streaming for so long. Thank you very much. Yes, Lauren, you and Samantha are the ones that I got to keep everything. Oh, especially with Yandiri. Yandiri's a moderator. Mama, I'm no mama. It's just me, Chappy. But you don't know what to make for dinner. I did Uber Eats. Firehouse subs. It was amazing. Yandiri, don't mess around. She will ban your ass so fast. What's up, Chappy? Nothing much. I am back from. There's a little thing down there. I am back from Oregon, so not in Oregon anymore. That's kind of cool. It was very pretty there, but it wasn't home. So I'm in Dallas again. I live in Dallas, like real close to where I used to live. But I won't ban. Chappy might eat me. That is. I mean, like, I only care if someone's talking trash to y'all. They can talk trash to me all day long. So that's the only rule. Yay, Texas. That's right. Yay, Texas. What's going on my phone? Okay. Cool. Now I can respond on my phone because Streamlabs doesn't like YouTube for some reason. Or it's just, the stars at night are big and bright. What part of Dallas? The Tollway and George Bush. David, you live in Oregon? I was in what do you call it? Klamath Falls. That's where I was at. I was in Klamath Falls. Ooh, Firehouse subs is amazing. I know I'm behind. That's okay. Where am I at in Dallas? Deep in the heart of Texas. I hope I hope all is well. It's good to see you too. You worked at Firehouse Subs last year. I mean, I think that it's probably one of the better food places to eat, but I don't know. You know. Oh, he's far from me. You're next to White Rock. White Rock's in like Austin, no? I don't know. I think Yandere's a bit south for me. I'm a bit north. You've never seen one around here. What have you not seen? Oh, I need to find mine. I need to find my Burt's Bees to put it on my lips. I might have one. If y'all want to hang on one second, let me see if I got one. Let me play some music. This song's kind of funky. I will turn that down. Can y'all still hear me and the music? I don't know. Let me know if the sound is funky. Excuse me. We're going to put on some Burt's Bees. It's got two little buzzes. You see them right there. Hang on, focus. Two little buzzes right there. Burt's Bees got loose in them lips. Anyway. Oh, it's been too long. You always say bumblebee tuna after Burt's Bees. Burt's Bees and bumblebee tuna. I don't know. I'm trying to be a good boy. I've only smoked a cigarette twice today. I'm doing this stupid thing. Are you dying on me? Yeah, you're yellow. That's fine. So, David, where are you in Oregon? You now have 32 allergies. Hope your allergies are like Pokemon, but you don't want to catch them all. It's been 100 years. I don't know what's been 100 years. Me saying Burt's Bees or Firehouse Subs. I've got so many things on my screen that I need to stop. Nope. Stop. There. No. That one line. What is that? Got it. You're in Eugene. Well, right on. I think that's like way north of me. Maybe not. Or where I was. I'm not there anymore. Let me see. I can do this. I'm good with the geography now. I've been. Oh, yeah, okay. So I was, if y'all want to. So there's the great state of Oregon. I was there. And that's where he's at. That's Eugene. So I was like right next to the border. You can kind of see that bottom line. Oh, that just, well, I did that. Do I remember Simple Cooking Channel? I sure do. I pop into his streams whenever I see him. Unfortunately, he's not always live. I always say hello to him on his new videos. Well, I don't know what y'all are here for. Just say hi to me, but he made ghost bananas a minute ago. He had surgery on his spine. Jesus, like, where have I been? I've been playing No Man's Sky today. I hermited today. I got breakfast, Uber Eats to me, and then I took a nap like all day. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Anyways, To fix his back, yeah. Yeah, poor guy had a bad back. Um, let's see if I can't find y'all a story. So I can't see what y'all are saying right now, but I might be able to here in a second. Pull up my phone. My doobly-doos here. Do. I even got my old keyboard. Sign up for latest creepypasta updates. No thank you. I don't need any more pop-ups. Oh, this is bullshit. I gotta get my pop-up blocker going again. Yo, if y'all want to give me like a couple minutes here, I'm getting pop-ups galore. It is stupid. Hey, GRB. I'm doing all right. Let's go to... Where are my... I was signed in with Firefox. I don't know what the heck happened. Okay, I want pop-up blocker. Strictly all pop-up requests any website by default. Notification window will open. What about ad blocker? Norton ad blocker is pretty good. That's what I use on my phone. Let's try it. Avast. Yeah, I removed Avast. It started getting pop-up-y. I was very unhappy with it. So I think I might have a story for y'all. As soon as I can get okay. Yep. All right. Good. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's much better. That's way better. Hey, Spacious McNinja Socks. Loving that name. Is it a story of a lovely lady? No, this one's called The Cat Scratching at My Door. I don't read these beforehand. I don't know if they're super creepy. We discover together, so could be a fart story. I don't know. I just hope they don't troll me like that.
Unknown caller.
No, not answering. The hell's wrong with you? Don't know who that is. So I am trying to figure out what's going on here. It's not me. What type of ringtone was that? It's from a song. I get fancy with my iPhone. I do automations and make ringtones and stuffs. Okay, so this is a cat. The cat is scratching at my door. Yeah, sign in. What's wrong with you? Yeah, that's me. Yeah. Oh, shoot. What's my Google password? Oh, God. It was changed 39 hours ago. Nope, that's not it. Hang on a second. Jeez Louise. This is ridiculous. I'm having problems here. Passwords. My face. Yep, there we go. Okay, good job. And Google. And that one. Well, I don't know. Try I'm So Creepy Boy. For some reason, I can't get the link to post to my... But I can log into YouTube. So, I'm confused. Whatever. Tomorrow's your birthday. Look up Chappleton gets a haircut, the scariest story you've ever seen. Sounds like a made-up story. Who wants a haircut? All right, anyways, well, it's the cat scratching at my door. If you go to Creepypasta, you will see it there. I unfortunately can't... I know what I could do. Hang on, I got this. Do 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 do. Aren't all stories made up? Not all of them. Where is my creepypastas? There it is. There we go. And share. Motherfucker. It's loading. While it's loading, try enjoying some Burt's Bees. Beeswax lip balm. So good for you. Wish they paid me every time I said that. That'd be kind of cool. There we go. All right. Oh, you settled down. Copy. Let's see how this works. YouTube. Paste. Yeah, there we go. I fingered it out. Look at me. I'm a winner. Everybody's a winner. Some people are not winners. This is by Weather Fordansky. That is who wrote the story. But let's begin. I haven't read a story in a long time. This will be fun. I never thought a childish prank would save me and my brother's life. It began in late September. My family cat had passed away from old age a few weeks prior. I missed her terribly and assumed the strange things that began to happen were just echoes of my grief. When she was still alive, she used to scratch at my door until I let her into my room. And she used to crawl the space. She used the crawl space as her own little home, sometimes hiding away for most of the day until pushing the door open in the middle of the night. I'd gotten so used to it that I no longer was startled by the tapping of the little paws upstairs or the sound of the little doors opening. So used to it, in fact, that when those things happened after her death, I took them. You okay, computer? So used to it, in fact, that when those things happened after her death, it took me a while to notice. When I finally did notice, the sounds gave me a strange feeling of unease, but familiarity. I told myself that it was just the creaking of the old house, but a part of me wanted to believe that she was still here in some capacity. One night in October, I was awoken by scratching at my door and a faint meow. It only lasted for a few seconds, but I heard it clearly. I thought it was a dream. It had to have been. After all, she was gone. But then it kept happening. Every night at 1:46 a.m. I could hear scratching on my door and the cries of a cat who was long dead. I told no one of it because even though it frightened me, I didn't want to lose what I had left of my dear cat. The scratching stayed the same until the night of October 21st, when it became harder to ignore. Everything was normal that night. My parents had gone out for the night. My brother was sleeping downstairs. I watched YouTube until I fell asleep, the glow of my laptop still on my face. Then I heard the scratching. I wasn't even scared. It felt like any other night. Until it didn't stop. The scratching only got more frantic, and the crying grew in volume with each swipe of the claw. I lost my spot. There it is. I had never heard my cat act like this, but even when she was alive. I quickly sat up in my bed and checked the time. It was 1:46 a.m. Like always, the scratching had got even worse. It sounded like she could tear through the door at any moment. I got up from my bed and slowly cracked the door open. My heart was racing. I had no idea what I would see behind that door. My heart was racing. I opened the door, only a crack, and suddenly it pushed open. However, there was nothing behind the door. I felt a strange presence, like something came into my room. I didn't know where else to do but to go back to bed and try to fall asleep. The next few nights were just the same. The scratching was almost deafening until I opened the door to let no one inside. It was creepy, but comforting. Every time I opened the door, it was like my cat came to visit me from beyond the grave. The last night I felt her presence was a night I will never forget. To this day, it was the most horrifying night of my life. It was Halloween night. I had just come home early from a party so I could stay with my brother for the night as my parents were out of town. We watched and made fun of Halloween movies from our childhood until midnight. I thought it would be fun to scare him with the scratching and meowing, so I told him to sleep in my room that night. I never thought a childish prank would save me and my brother's life. I got into my bed, and he got into a sleeping bag beside me. He fell asleep almost immediately. while I could barely keep my eyes open from anticipation. Oh, nope, closed. Still, sorry. Suddenly my window flooded with light. I assumed it was my parents coming back early from a trip, but something felt off. The clock struck 1:46 a.m. Instead of scratching or meowing, the little door to the crawl space flung open. A dark figure rushed out and jumped right at me. I let out a scream, waking my brother beside me. The dark figure went through my chest and disappeared behind me. I was left hyperventilating and holding my hand to my chest. This wasn't a visit. It was a warning. I heard what sounded like someone trying to get inside my house, and without hesitation, I grabbed my brother and told him to go into the crawl space. He was groggy and disoriented, but he did what I said. I followed behind him and moved a chair in front of the little door before closing it. I told him to be completely silent. We heard a big crash and then footsteps downstairs. Someone had broken through the window. I heard the stranger open all the doors and pushing things over. I felt my face go white as I heard the stranger start to come upstairs. I held my hand over my brother's mouth and began to pray in my head. The stranger was at the door. My heart was pounding. He flung the door open and entered the room. I could hear him flip my bed over and knock over my nightstand. I thought we were going to die. My brother was silently texting the police, while all I could do was stare at the door, knowing it would open at any second. The stranger pushed over the chair in front of the crawl space. The only thing that fell between me and the intruder was a little door. My brother and I grabbed the handle and held it shut. Then I heard the hiss and growl of a cat. It felt like it was right behind us. Finally, the intruder tried to open the door. We held it shut for as long as we could until the stranger flung it open with one great pull. But before I could even get a good look at him, a dark figure leaped from behind us and pounced on his face. It all happened so quickly. You could only see the flicks of blood flying around him. He fell to the ground, crying
Man,
out.
I have missed story time with Chappy.
Who did that? He fell to the ground, crying out, holding his now mangled face. The dark figure ran to the shadows, and my brother and I ran out the door and down the stairs. We screamed for help in the cold night until the neighbors came outside to see what was wrong. The police arrived short after that. It turned out the stranger was a drug-addicted ex-convict who was breaking into people's homes around the area looking for cash. So yeah, well, that was a nice little story. I'm a little rusty. It happens. I don't know who did that. That was Stacy Morgan. Well, thank you, Stacy. I've missed doing stories with you guys. Batman saves the day. Wait, what? I think you missed the point of the story, bud. Hey, Mismatched Socks, how you doing? My nose. My nose. Hey, Pam. Awesome story. It was all right. I like that one. It was a cute story. I mean, you know, sort of. Oh, ad blocker, you're failing me, bud. I'll give that one a good rating. I thought that was a pretty good story. If you like these stories, follow that link and you can rate them too. But I think you have to log in now, so maybe not. Oh, nope. You don't have to log in. You can just rate them. And how you doing, Mr. Dan Slee? Long time no see. Yandary's lurking. Yandary always lurks. That's fine. What other stories do we have? Oh, I miss these stories. I like these, the 9 rules stories. I like the, yeah, yeah. And then they always miss a story, or they always miss a, they always miss one. Well, Mr. Chapstick addicted. It's not Chapstick. It's Burt's Bees. It's way different. Jerk. Well, here you go. This one's called 9 Rules for the Night Shift on Halloween night at the cemetery. Because what's like the most tropey, scary place we could be? It's got pretty good ratings. Let me share this with you guys. Of course, it's got to load. It's already loaded, but it's got to load somehow. Rule number 1, call in sick. That's right. Don't work there. Rule number 2, don't come in. I mean, that's pretty much covered by rule 1. Let's be honest there. Here is the story. If y'all want to read along. Where do your loyalties lie, Chappy? I mean, it's whatever, man. It's just Burt's Bees. I like it. Griffin Fish Room, Cheapy. Is that like creepy and chappy? It sounds terrible. But it's fine. Let's get this one. And this one is by Jaguars 147. That's only 4 away from 187. Are you settled in where you're at? No, I'm not settled in. I've got boxes everywhere. Chappy. Hey, Griffin. How you doing? Got boxes everywhere. But I got my internet set up and I finally got my stuff moved in this weekend. So there's that. I go back to work on, just a couple days. You have a button to send me? Well, you'll have to hit me up on Discord. I'll send you my address. Creepy Chappy presents the Burt's Bees Spoopy Story Stream Show. Where on the globe am I now? I'm in Dallas. That is where I live. Before we get too crazy, what is going on with these stories? There's like sidebars, and is this another story? I don't know what's happening. Let me see. After 8:30. Okay. What is happening? I might just read it on my phone because that seems to be better. Did I see Dad's button? I did not. turned out pretty cool. Well, super kick ass. Stacy makes some pretty badass stuff. So if y'all see Dad's button, Stacy made that. Well, let's do this story and let's see how it goes. So I'm going to be looking at my phone. Screw it. Dang hairs in my face. You sure you have all the rules memorized? My boss said as he gathered his belongings to go home. Yeah, sure thing. I got 'em all up here, I said as I pointed to my head. He gave me a nod and headed out the door of the small office to go home. My boss was a little off, to say the least. This was my first month as a security guard at a cemetery right around the corner from my residence. And I had just gotten out of college about 3 months ago. The last month of shifts have been boring. Sitting around, checking cameras. Sure, nothing's out of the order. Exciting, right? I need a source of income, and this was the best paying job I could find. No real experience needed, the flyer said. My take was that they were desperate to find someone fast, so I took advantage of that. I was hired that day that I found a flyer over the phone. They never even found out the guy's name. I never even found the guy's name. We'll struggle through this. We'll get it. Nevertheless, I pulled my phone out and started an audio recording so he could record the list once he finished telling me the rules. I was in absolute disbelief. This guy is insane. No wonder why no one wants to work here. This guy is actually insane, I thought to myself. I know every place has certain rules to follow, but to designate a set of rules, insane rules, for Halloween night only, I guess you won't know how I feel until I tell you the rules that he gave me, word for word, exactly how he told me, straight from the recording. Rule number 1. On Halloween night, please arrive at 8:30 p.m., no earlier, no later. Do not walk in these doors until it reaches 8:30. For the love of God, please. Rule number 2, stay inside the office until 9:15. Do not leave. Keep yourself occupied. But do not check the security cameras during this time. I'll be sure to turn them off before you get there, so there's no temptation to peek at them. This might be one of the most important rules. If the monitor turns on by itself, do not look either. If for any reason you look and you see it has revealed the A section of the cemetery, you must turn off the lights of the office and hide. If it reveals the B section or C section and you look at it, your only option is to run. Good luck with this. To make this easier, just cover the monitor with a jacket or a blanket, because you will not want to see what happens out. I'm sorry. You'll not want to see what happens out there this time on Halloween night. It seems clunky to me. I'll get it. I promise. Rule number 3, after 9:15 strikes, you will have 30 seconds to get out of the office. Leave the door unlocked. It is possible you will pass an unnaturally tall figure with no facial features. This is not a Halloween costume, and you must tell him good evening and look him right where his eyes would be. If he doesn't respond, continue on your way to patrol the cemetery. If he says anything at all, you must stand completely still. Do not move a muscle. He might walk around you, but if you keep still until he's done, he should walk away with no problem. Go until the office and he will slam the door behind him. Rule 4, you will make your way to Section A. Once you inspect the section, you will realize the gravestone titled James R. Hackney is being dug up completely. This is not out of the ordinary. Do not, and I mean do not, pay any attention to what is inside the 6-foot hole in the ground. You will not see the rest of your shift if you look down that hole. Just keep walking to Section B and do not look back. Rule 5. As soon as you see the cross, as soon as you see across the bridge from Section A to B, no, as soon as you cross, okay. As soon as you cross the bridge from Section A to B, you will notice about a dozen shadow-like figures standing around in a circle around a big oak tree to the left of the bridge. Please listen closely to what I'm about to say. You must find the figure wearing the black top hat. You will walk up behind him and ask, "Am I clear?" If you hear a voice from inside your own head say, "Continue," then you may carry on to Section B. If you don't hear anything, you must wait. You can look over the section at the time, but I recommend keeping your eyes down. Trust me. There will be no physical harm to you if you look, but I can't promise you will be emotionally intact after looking. Rule 6. Once you get the go-ahead, continue on to Section B. You may walk around and do what you would normally do every night here. The only catch is that you must stay in this section until 10 o'clock. It should be 9:30 to 9:45 by now, so you won't have to wait long. After the time crosses 10, continue on. And that's all I'm saying. It's too many rules. Just close that bitch down. Rule number 7. After walking out of Section B, you will notice a strange temperature change and lighting change. The time will have jumped to 2 a.m. after crossing. Do not panic. And please do not answer your phone. Your phone will begin ringing constantly. That's why I didn't answer mine. As soon as it starts ringing, you will stand still and not move until it stops. It will be calls from your mother, your father, siblings, girlfriend, boyfriend, anyone you can think of. You must not answer these calls, and it is not actually them calling. It is, in fact, the man that you saw earlier, the one with no facial features. He's trying to lure you back to the office. You must stay away from the office until I tell you to go back. Your phone will stop ringing after about half an hour, which leaves you at around 2:30 a.m. You can't continue on at this point. Rule number 8, you will notice another jump. This one, 2 more hours, from 2:30 to 4:30. You're getting, pretty good hours. Just free hours. You're just jumping, so that's kind of cool. If the time says 2:30 after the calls stop, you're in trouble. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do here. You messed up a step, and at some point, if you end up here, you could finally finish your inspection of Section C. You must be prepared for a woman covered in blood to run up to you begging for help. She will ask you where her baby is. And if you can come fast to help her, do not be startled no matter how loud she yells. Tell her you will meet her outside the cemetery in 10 minutes. For her to wait there. She will run off in the opposite direction. That is how you know you succeeded. There will be a lot of towels and rags all over the ground covered in blood around Section C. This is the only maintenance you will have to do. Just pick them up and dispose of them in the waistband closet closest to you. Rule number 9. After completing this final task, you must run back to the office. Do not look anywhere but ahead of you. You will see figures everywhere. You will hear your name being called from voices that you think you recognized. Just keep running. Once you reach the office, you will see the faceless man leaving the office building. It should be 5 a.m. at this point. He will stop you and either say, "Good work," and nod at you. You will slowly walk into the office and close the door. For the remainder of the shift, you can check the cameras, sit down, and go on with your shift until I come inside and start mine. Or he will say, "Come with me." If he says, "Come with me," you will run and lock yourself in the office. Do not fall for his calm, monotone voice. He is anything but calm. If you messed up, do not let him in, and wait for him to stop banging on the door. Once this stops, cover your eyes. For the last half hour of your shift, do not look around until you hear 3 knocks on the door. This will be me trying to relieve you for your shift. You won't be called in for a few weeks to come to terms with what you've seen. You will be paid a handsome amount of money for your duties. Now that you have listened to the rules as well, I hope you can understand my initial suspicion and why I was so baffled. I thought this was a joke until I finished my shift. So we're only like halfway through, I think. Hey, Holly. After I arrived at 8:30, my boss left and I decided I was going to just follow the rules he'd given me to humble him and to be a good sport for the prank. I didn't check the cameras and I headed out the door. After going outside, a brisk fall air hit me and I saw a tall man walking up to me. I looked at him. He was actually faceless. It looked so real and kind of gave me the creeps. I almost forgot to tell him good evening. He looked at me, well, I think he did, and continued on through the door. I shivered a little as I headed on straight to Section A. I arrived at the entrance, and I searched for James R. Hackney's grave, a grave I always saw, as it was the biggest one there. To my disbelief, it was actually being dug up. I felt sick to my stomach that they would go this far to scare me. So I hurried past the grave as a wave of uneasiness came over me. This can't be real, I reassured myself as I headed across the bridge to Section B. I scanned for the oak tree, and when I finally found it, I noticed the figures my boss warned me about. I instantly spotted the one with the top hat. I unsteadily scurried over to him and asked him, "Am I clear?" No answer. As I stood there waiting for an answer that never came, I decided to look away from the man and peek over the Section B, because surely the pranksters wanted me to look, since they warned me against it. I froze and felt pins and needles in my hands as I saw myself standing there in the distance. At least it looked like me, except I was taller and covered in blood. As the figure that presumably was me stared back, it let out a screech and started running towards me. I was startled and absolutely mortified by this and turned to run. I looked back. As it reached its arms out, it completely vanished. As soon as it vanished, I heard a voice from my head say, "Continue." At this point, I had a million thoughts running through my head, as I started to realize whatever was happening was somehow impossibly real, and I felt my mind switch from confused to defensive. I inspected the area until 10 p.m., constantly looking over my shoulder. I checked my phone and saw it was time to move to Section 3. I felt exactly what I was told. A temperature change. And saw the surroundings get just a bit darker. It was noticeably colder. No way, I told myself, as I reached for my phone, which displayed 2 a.m. Before I could form another thought, my phone rang. Right on cue, and stopped dead. I stopped dead in my tracks. "Dad," the phone displayed. I stared back at the phone as I looked at those 3 letters. I never knew my dad, and definitely never had him saved in my phone. I felt a tear from my eye, because this was a very sensitive topic to me. I let it ring as I got lost in a trance thinking about how on earth any of this was possible. The ringing finally stopped, and I let out a sigh of relief. I remembered the next rule about the time it opened my phone again. 2:30. I kept moving on with some stray tears in my eyes, watching my phone turn from 2:30 to 4:30. This was a relief to me because now I knew that this was somehow real. I realized I had done all the steps right so far. As I started inspecting Section 3, with cold fingers and numb toes, I heard screaming. Naturally, this scared the hell out of me, and I jumped out of my shoes. I snapped my head around to a blood-covered woman screaming, "My baby! I can't find my baby!" I told her, after a bit of hesitation. I told her to meet me at the entrance of the cemetery in 10 minutes. She nodded and ran off. I noticed a ton of blood-covered rags all over the ground. Shaken up by her screams, I slowly picked them up and threw them out. I looked around and ran back to the office. The whole run I didn't see anything and didn't hear anything. This was weird because my boss said otherwise. I'll count my blessings here. Though, I'll count my blessings here. And I find myself in front of the office finally. The man was leaving. This time he looked at me in complete terror as I turned away and said, as he said, "Come with me." I wasted no time running past him into the office and slamming the door behind me. "What did I mess up?" I yelled over the sound of the banging on the door as I pulled my jacket over my head. I shivered in fear as the entire hour I heard 3 knocks finally come from the door. I shot up and threw open the door to reveal my boss and yelled, "What the hell did you just put me through?" I was mad, although relieved to see him, who looked a lot more colorful and lifelike than he was in the past. He looked to me and smiled at me. "Go home, kid. Get some sleep." Yelled back, "No, I want answers. You cannot just you cannot just tell me to go after a night I just had." He looked at me and said, "You look scared." No, he looked at me and said, "You took care of my cemetery, kid. I thank you for that." He held out his hand for a handshake. The name, James Randall Hackney. And he's been dead for over 200 years. Every Halloween, I leave the cemetery and recharge so my physical body does not perish. You covered me last night, and I want to thank you for that. It didn't take me long to recognize his name as the same on the gravestone that was dug up. I stared back at him with a mouth wide open, speechless. I walked out of that door, packed up my house, and never came back to this town again. Well, now I want to know what rule he messed up, but I'll be honest. I don't know what rule it was. That was a wordy one. Not a bad story. Hey, Jay. How you doing? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what... He missed some step. Or something. Hey, Westerly West. How are you doing? There were a lot of rules. Leaves you hanging. I mean, he had to spin in a circle, you think? I don't think that was one of the rules. Don't go to Wilhelm Bridge. There are wolves out there. The quakes of Mount Olympus. They came in the day. I like the app, but it doesn't really give you ratings on here. He looked around and saw himself. I thought he could look around, but maybe that was it. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to look. Yeah, that feels right. No, he messed up. I'll give it... Let's rate this one. If y'all liked it, if you didn't like it, it's whatever. Y'all can go to Creepypasta. Follow the link I posted there. And I'll give it 9 stars. It was okay. I mean, I haven't done creepy stories in a while, and I don't know how popular the rules ones are anymore. But I remember for a while there, they were super popular. Yeah, I see the like they're yeah, on the website here. It's kind of jacked, the letter spacing. Why did he need to be there? To watch over the cemetery while old James Hackney was recharging. I'm a headhunter working in a very specialized sector. He's technically a security job. When does he get paid? I think you'll see money in a couple weeks. Advice from my grandpa. Grandpa always gives the best advice. Let me see if I could find this one. Yeah. Who wants to get some advice from Colson Lacosta's grandfather? His payment was his life. Yeah, he survived. You know, it didn't go over how much money he made either. If this were a real job, would you apply? With so many crazy rules and Halloween right around the corner? So this one's got pretty good ratings. It's an 8, a solid 8 out of 10. You paid enough? Exactly. Exactly. I will say, one of the good things about this apartment, no dogs barking. If I hear dogs barking, I'm getting the F out of here. Because I didn't pay for the pet deposit. He got paid a handsome amount, which means I can only assume it means they dressed his paycheck in a tuxedo. If he gets paid a handsome amount, my paycheck looks like a steel toe boot and dirty coveralls. This is a little bit of a healthy one, but let's give it a shot, guys. So this is Advice from My Grandpa. Excuse me. Here's a story like always. If you want to join in while I read, you can see how many mess ups I actually do. Sometimes I just fill in words. Story time does continue. My grandfather was a deeply religious man. He never missed a service, and he always proved to be a beacon of everything his faith stood for. He seemed like a walking image of what one of the apostles was supposed to be. He had the look and actions of a man who could never die. His image I have presented should lead you in the direction of my shock that night. I heard when he was in the hospital. Not only his actions in the public showed him to be an inviolable man, but that impacted me on a personal level, built him up in the invincible statue of purity incarnate. Throughout my childhood, my parents were less than an admirable folk. They never hit me, nor did they insult me, but they were distant as strangers. My grandfather, who remained unmarried, was more of a friend than a parent than either of them ever were. They were not nearly as disciplined in the faith as he was, but I didn't blame them. They were the people in your neighborhood who show up once a month to save face among the neighbors, but don't practice what they preach in any extent. They were both incredibly hard workers for respectable local companies, meaning they would not have time for sermons and prayers, meaning all of my spiritual education came from my grandfather, as well as my standard education. He cared deeply for me, like a father to a son, so less like a grandparent and a grandchild. I even ended up staying with him at his home, though significantly smaller than that of my parents, for most of my childhood. I sped toward the hospital faster than I thought possible on my bike. And I was there before I knew it. I know now that the adrenaline coursing through me did most of the work that night. I asked the receptionist where I can find him, and I was directed to his room. The sound of my sneakers on the freshly mopped floor were deafening. I was told that he was in a car crash, and while not extreme, due to his age, the injuries he received would most likely be too much for him. I saw him in a white gown. His heavy, ragged breathing reached me before I saw a sight of him. There was a bandage with cotton underneath, wrapped around the top of his near bald head, with a few blots of blood escaping. His mouth hung open slightly, allowing an outlet for his groans of pain. When he saw me standing there in the doorway, fear blanketing my face, a flash of recognition flickered in his eyes. He closed his mouth and licked his lips quickly before calling me to come to his side. Tears obscured my vision as I sat in the chair beside his bed. "My boy, listen to me," he wheezed again before continuing to speak. "I won't be around much longer." I groaned when he closed his mouth, rejecting the message he presented to me. He waved a weak finger in front of my face to quiet my protest. "Listen to me. I have a story to tell you." I looked at him in disbelief, now wiping my tears. "Grandpa, a story? Why now?" He reared up in his bed, demanding my silence once again. "Quiet yourself. I will not demand it again." I was dumbstruck by his vitality. Whatever. He was never this openly wrathful. "You have known me as an honest man your whole life, have you not?" I scooted closer. "Of course. Only the holiest of men could aspire to be cut from your own cloth." He grimaced slightly and groaned a deathly groan again. He leaned forward with great difficulty to touch my chest with his finger before leaning back completely to stare at the ceiling. "When I was young, like you are now, I was lost in the world. My father was a soldier in the war, and he died where he stood. My mother was sent to work in the factories, and she ran away with another man, leaving me alone. I pinched pennies on the streets to feed myself. I was in absolute low, you must understand. I would do anything I could to get by. Atop all this, I knew nothing of true God then. I was a lost child in a world of horrors I knew not of." His hand moved closer to his heart for the remainder of the story. "I remember clutching a few dollar bills, more than enough for a night's dinner. So with my haul, I began to walk towards the market. I was only halfway there when a man in one fluid motion snatched the money from my hand, pushed me over, and ran for the alley. I lay there, dumbstruck, for a few moments, simply trying to process what had just happened. I looked down and saw I was empty-handed, covered in mud, and wept gently to myself when the man who would change my life came before me. He was in a long black and white garb, like a common priest would wear. And because of this, I figured this must be the case. He wears no rosaries, I thought. I wasn't a believer, but I was in no situation to pick my saviors. The hand out he reached was a working man's hand, hard and calloused. His face was a kind man's face. His shoes were a desperate man's shoes. He said to me, "Poor child, are you as lost as I?" His voice was shrill and unpleasant, but his words struck if the Son of God himself spoke to me. "Yes, Father, please help me." I would have been more eloquent or thoughtful with my words if I were in a better mind, but my desperate tone seemed to have done the trick. He picked me up with his bare hands and led me down the curving streets from my hometown to what I assumed was his home. He didn't seem lost to me, I thought when we arrived, but once we were inside, all thought of speculation left me, like the cold air from the outside. It was a cozy little home, with a large window in the living room and hardwood floors. It reminded me of my childhood home, and I began to cry. I didn't kneel, I just stood there crying. The man placed his hand on my shoulder and half whispered to me, "Weep, boy, weep openly in remembrance. It will be the last time you do so." Now, boy, I won't tell you everything that happened. If ever there was a time for me to tell of my failures, it would be now, as I place my feet on the beach where death swims. But I won't. If I made clear the things I did, the temptation would prove too burdensome for any to turn their nose to, especially a child. Instead, I will dance around the finer points and tell you the rest. The man never gave me his name, and in time I lost my own. It would come and go, but he would always stay. He gave me food and water. He gave me a bed to sleep in, and for many years he asked nothing, though this simply would last only until he deemed me mature enough to learn of the education he offered. Until he deemed me no longer a child, he told me nothing of his work, and I asked not. I assumed he was a priest, with his garb and from his mannerisms. But I had no proof. He held no holy symbols and kept no books of faith. He would leave for long parts of the day and come back in the night. He would come to me in the morning. He tapped my shoulder and shushed me gently, ushering me from my bed. I got up and followed him outside. He let out another small groan and closed his eyes before continuing to recount his tale. I don't remember how long we walked, but I remember feeling the pulsing pain wrapped around my legs, the center on my upper thighs. My shoes felt wet and spacious. My hair was matted to my head despite the cold wind blowing through the town that day. I stood in a black room with a few hanging lights, vainly trying to combat the dark. The man who took me in seemed indistinguishable among the others wearing the same cloth. They talked amongst themselves for a few moments before disengaging from each other and starting towards me. I was given a bowl of soup and told to eat. I sat down after the bowl lay empty and damp on the inside. My vision was dulled not only by the darkness, but by its own exhaustion. The soup felt so good, but I don't remember how it tasted. The man I knew came forward and began to speak to me, though his words only registered occasionally. He said something with great passion and pointed past himself and the other men and showed a rising tower of smoke with just enough light on it to begin hanging bulbs to remain visible. The smoke originated from the center of the room, initially black before it began to change. It shifted its shape like a plume of incense, though it had no origin. Its color shifted from that of a black color, only magnified by the surroundings before it changed to a light gray, and then a pale white. It grew increasingly paler, before even changing to a light pink, then red, then purple, then blue, and so on. I was completely enraptured by the elegant thought. I was completely enraptured by the elegant, though simple display before me. My stomach gurgled in protest to my lack of food, only satisfied with the soup alone. But the rest of my attention was still focused on the shifting smoke. A man, not one I knew, came before me, obscuring the smoke, to my dismay. But they grabbed my attention with something new. "Anything, boy. What do you want?" I thought only a moment before gesturing over to my mostly empty bowl of soup, and then my mouth, not wanting to put it any effort to talk. I didn't even feel like putting the effort into breath. I was in a sublime taste of relaxation I had never known. Nothing seemed to matter in that moment, not even the man currently gesturing towards the bowl of soup. Only the smoke lazily rising behind him and appearing over his head. I finally bowed his request, which was steadily growing in urgency, to look at the bowl. I rolled my head to the side with my eyes only half opened. The bowl was now fully filled. The man hadn't moved, and the others at the back of the room stayed in the same position. So how was this soup bowl filled? It didn't matter at that moment. I only wanted the hunger pains to leave. I reached my hand out with a little prior deliberation, pulled the warm bowl towards my mouth, and began to drink it. Though it looked and smelled the same as before, it tasted like honey and sugar now, fully awakened me from the subdued state of earlier. I hungrily took from the bowl until even the dampest of earlier remained, unless you count the new wetness that my tongue left behind. My awakened eyes shifted to the man kneeling before me. No doubt, a begging look within my glistening orbs. He smiled sweetly, showing no age lines, as some of the others had adopted. "Trust in our Lord, and all you desire will come freely to you. Yahuwah is a loving one. It will obtain you in blood and honeyed words, if you will only let him do so." I didn't know what Yahuwah he spoke of, but I knew that if they could bring the smoke and give me more of that soup, then whatever else they offered would no doubt be good. I thought of his name, Yahuwah, and a fondness in me began to grow. I looked back at the bowl, and the fondness still in my mind. I could see it again, full and plentiful. My stomach no longer growled, but my very soul seemed as hungry. My wide eyes looked disbelievingly at the kneeling young man in approval, to which he remained his smile and nodded to me to drink again of the soup. I grabbed the soup and began to drink. This process continued on for a little while longer until my stomach felt full. My mind felt at peace with my ravened soul felt whole. The name Yathua felt sweet and warm to me, and I think to others knew my feeling as he looked kindly and lovingly at me. The kneeling man helped me to his soft hands and led me over to the other men. I was given a set of clothes like theirs and asked if I loved Yathua. I answered truthfully. With little time spent for consideration, yes. Although simple, it seemed enough for them, as their hands were placed on my shoulders and I was told my education would begin soon. He sat up slightly, his eyes still closed. I only now noticed the slight wetness permeating around my grandfather's eyes. I won't tell you the processes that went through the endeavors of educating me. I would not wish what I know to anyone. I will tell you my mistake so that you may not make the same ones. The teachings they gave me was purely oral. They kept no books of their knowledge, instead opting to pass the secrets that they held through the living members of their orders. They told me that the things known as Yathua was the true God and all others were pretenders. Just lost it. Found it. Only orphans or any others without parents could join the order, as Yathua must be the provider, the birther, and the role model. Yathua would be a generous patron to all except traitors. It was made abundantly clear that any who turned their backs on Yathua would face the worst of all torments, though it was unclear what this exactly meant. To turn away from the truest provider, you would be deserving of whatever the world sent your way, with no protector to stand before you. At the time, it was unclear for what reason anyone would turn their back on Yathua. He was the most loving figure I had ever known. I was taught to be conservative with the wishes of Yathua. As abuse of his power they offered was a disgusting affront of our patron. I had tests for my training before I began. Baptized is what I would call it, I suppose. Accepted may be a more accurate word. I had to prove myself in multiple ways before I was truly prepared to offer the love of Yathua to those deserving of it. Most of the tests were for me to provide accurate summaries of information of Yathua that I had been given to my superiors. Having shown my devotion, they agreed that I was eligible to be a sit-in member on full invitation, which is what happened to me. A visceral display of the practical power of Yathua possessed. My job was to do what the young men did for me, and show whoever was selected face to face the love of Yathua. It was imperative that I wake them from the trance that they could fall into, but I was not told why. I was more than ready to accept my enthusiasm showing further the adoration I held for the order of loyal followers, and of course Yathua himself, or themself. Roughly a month later, the day, or night rather, the initiation was to occur. I was determined more than anything to show that I truly love Yathua. They gave me a family and a home, a purpose and a moral code to live by, whereas prior I had none of these things. The other loyal ones and I came to a building remarkably similar to this one I met Yathua in. When we came in, we waited a moment before a robed older woman brought forth a young girl of around 11, I would guess. She had blonde hair and curls and bright blue eyes. She was hungry looking and wavering from the long trip she had made to get here. She was sat down as the woman came towards us. Everything about that night was similar to how it was for me. The words they said, the things they offered, even the spectacle. I found myself watching the same smoke with new, more softened eyes than before, now filled with adoration for the event, more than the astonishment. I watched as the girl began to lazily lean back. Still watching the smoke, I smiled at her, now realizing this was my cue to walk towards and begin my part in the ritual. I grew close, then knelt down on one knee. I placed a hand on her shoulder and recited the words I had been told to say. She did nothing but lazily eye the smoke behind me. Growing nervous, I said the words again. I looked back at the other loyal ones and only saw them watching the girl. I shook her lightly, then furiously. She wasn't breathing, and her face and skin tone began to show it. It was no longer smiling. I was no longer smiling, but furiously yelling at the girl to wake up. The soup bowl by her hand was knocked away by my shaking, and the hollow sound echoing across the room, now the only sound, save for my own panting. She was dead within a few moments. I knelt there holding the dead girl for a few minutes. I felt a hand on my shoulder to see the man who looked at me initially looking woefully. Relax, my boy. We simply picked the wrong one. Though he looked at me sadly, I saw no recognition of the death in his eyes. What? Was all I could manage to say. Some are just undeserving. She was too enraptured by Yathua's power to appreciate Yathua's love. We are only human, and thusly it is possible for us to pick the wrong students. It is no fault of yours. I was dumbfounded. I don't know how much more of the story there is. We're almost there. What was the love I had known to mean, if none was spared for the death of this child? Not even a tear was shed by any but I. For the first time I felt genuine doubt whether Yathua was worth following. What God was worthy of humanly love, where they trained their followers to not even glance at a child's death within a holy place. I announced none of these thoughts for the fear of scrutiny or violence. But then I looked at my fellow followers. I saw not love, but detestable sin now. This was not what I wanted in my life. I decided then that I would leave. I had a dream that night before I left. I was in the same room the girl had died in. I lay where she died. She stood partially obscured by the shadows, holding the hands of the naked figure. They had no genitalia or any distinguishers of gender. Their skin was gray and wrinkly. Long brown nails stemmed from their fingers and toes. It left its hand holding the girl and slowly stared towards me. They were bald, absolutely no hair anywhere. The nose on the face was long and jagged, completing the long yellow teeth partially escaping from under its dry lips quite well. Its eyes were yellow like jaundice, and they burned with intensity. Before I could fully register what was happening, it was upon me. It brought its jagged old hand to face me. Then with a putrid scent briefly catching my nose, it brought my fingers to my lips. The scent of waste and death wafted from the thing, nearly gagging me on its own. But the feel of leathery fingers touching my mouth completed the job. My mouth opened to gag. Then it lodged its hand into my mouth. Its fingers wormed around within, touching my teeth, gums, interior of my cheeks. The gagging had increased to dry heaving, then vomiting, but it did not stop the gray thing. Though impossible, its hand stretched in my mouth further until its dusty and cracked forearm was in my mouth. Its nails stung my throat. My wet and terrified eyes locked with its, and a painful disappointment was all its gaze showed. The salty taste blended with the bile, causing my dry heaving to turn into violent convulsions. I locked eyes the last time before one quick and bloody movement it ripped its arm from my throat. I woke up before I saw the completion of the movement. I knew that it was Yathua. It never said its name, but I just knew. I packed the next day, but seeing as though I had no possessions, it went remarkably quick. I gagged in thoughts of the dream as I left, a fear unlike any I had ever experienced propelling me out the doors of my home. I stumbled down the long streets of my hometown until I found a chapel, and the rest is history, they say. I went to the confession booth as my first act of rebellion against Yathua. I became a priest later in my life and vowed to only do good to make up for that girl's death. I never received proof that my new God was real, but I knew of Yathua's existence. How's you? Hang on. He opened his eyes to look at me, dread within them. Boy, trust me when I say this. Whether you believe me or not, dark things exist in this world. Trust in what you know to be good, and don't stray from the path you find. I never found proof in this God's existence, but if it did, it wouldn't matter, for I knew the alternative was, I've never seen the devil, and he is coming for me tonight. Be safe, boy, and don't make the mistake I made. Oh God. He began to weep slightly, and his heart rate monitor began to rise. A nurse walking down the hallway at the time saw the monitor and the crying man and rushed in. As the heart rate steadily increased, she called for more help, and it came. They spoke in hurried medical terms I didn't understand, and they pushed me out of the room, just as my grandfather began to shout and scream. I only saw glimpses of him as he screamed, wide-eyed at nothing. Fear blending with his tears to make expression of pure, unaltered terror. He begged for something. I couldn't understand what the doctor and nurses frantically tried to assist him. But as his screams suddenly died down, they were visibly less enthusiastic of their movements. I only saw one more glimpse of him before they shut the door to prevent others from seeing him. His eyes were wide and bloodshot. His mouth was open in a silent scream. The spit flowed from him to his gown and pillow beneath his head. Fear was etched on his face. But it was something no one should ever see. I didn't know how much truth was imparted to me, but the terror I saw on his face was real enough. I went home after that, and to bed. The next morning, I went to church. Hey, Mama. So there you go. Don't talk to Yath. That was a long one. I mean, it was good, I guess, but it was a long one. How is everybody doing out there? Hopefully you're all still doing well. Oh, Yathua, he's a man that he can't do it. Well, he'll kill you kill you, or when you die, he'll be with you or something. I don't know. Hey, Bridget. Hey, everybody that I didn't see come in. Y'all joined halfway through a healthy story. It was all right, I guess. Why were you putting time out? Were you putting time out? Oh, it looks like you were. Let me see. Lauren, what happened? Um, I don't know. I don't know what happened, bud. It seems confusing to me. I don't know what's happening right now. I'm just gonna stay out of it. It seems low level. Y'all can handle. It was just a little timeout. I don't know. The vaping sounds painful. What, for the vape or for me? It's fine for me. Oh, that one's 32 minutes. We're not reading that one. Hey, Pip. What do we have here? We got any short ones? I'm drowsy. Size doesn't matter. For stories, it does. Some of those longer ones, they're just... I will, I was given a book to read by its author. Hey, May. I might do that in video form. But it's a full book. It's not a super long book. But I'll probably do a bunch of videos for that. It's one of the airmen I met in Oregon. He was a horror writer. Rock baby Chappy to sleep. No. Baby Chappy does not need sleep right now. It's getting close to 9 o'clock. Oop, wrong one. I'll probably go to bed here in about an hour or two. I do keep yawning though. Let me grab a Pepsi real quick. I'll be right back. BRB. The stream is sponsored by Pepsi. I wish. I would not have to work in the oil field anymore. I got a text message. Yes, Mom. I'm doing fine. Thank you. Ooh. Thank you, Mom. We are trying to find a new story. Nobody really does short, creepy stories anymore. I have a feeling I've read all of these. Yeah, I pretty much slept all day. It was nice. And I played a bunch of No Man's Sky. I love me some No Man's Sky. I should start writing stories. Writing the stories. Like making them up. Um, that's not for me. Well, I think that's it for stories. We can sit and chit chat for a while, though. Let's see if you can find a few stories or rituals for me. I'll read one ritual if you can find it. Like a, not a super long one, but yeah. See what you can do. Let me know. Too much work for me. It's way too much work for me. I get to go back to the oil field tomorrow. Get to start driving back. Woo. I used to make them up on the spot. When I was drunk, I would. I also knew all of the tropes. Ah, now I remember you. Nice. Hello, Buddy Viper. Do I get messy? Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty filthy out there. It's terrible. In fact, I might do laundry tomorrow before I head out. Make sure I got some more uniforms. There we go. Am I blurry for anyone else? I don't think I am. Let me see. I shouldn't be. But I do want to change something on my, because I saw that it auto focuses. I had that off. Where are you, webcam? There you are. Autofocus off. I might be blurry for a second. Let me fix it. Nope. I do kind of get washed out if I come in close, though. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Am I still blurry? Camera's a little blurry. Let me see if I can clean it. It's really not. Y'all are crazy. I don't see anything. Let me go big screen on my phone. I'm crystal clear like Crystal Pepsi. Oh man. Hey, Canesar. I hope everyone's been doing well. I did stream the other night when I got home drunk. That was fun. YouTube sets the video quality really low by default. Yeah, especially if you don't change it. I don't know. It looks clear to me, but I don't know. Clear like the saliva dripping from a rabid dog's grinning maw. There you go. I don't know what I'm broadcasting in. Let me see. Yeah, I'm doing 1080 at 60 frames on my phone. It seems fine to me. I don't know. I've got this little light up here that's it's right up there. Whatever. Anyways, my new schedule is going to be a little bit crazy. I pretty much work for 2 weeks straight, and then I have a week off in my apartment. So, and I go back tomorrow, so. I want to see if I got my reservation. Oh, shoot. What shift? It shouldn't matter. Work emails. Excuse me. All the weirdos are on night shift. I do like day shift and night shift on my schedule, so I switch back and forth. The ghost in my machine. Graveyard shift. The game of waiting. Let's see this one. Okay. You're listening. Well, gaming. What game are you playing there, David? Kanetar, I'm not going to read what you said. I mean, I read. I'm not going to say what you said. It's, some people are just weird, bud. So it looks like Jay brought us a story. This is the most dangerous games, the game of waiting. And it says, please do not copy, paste, republish, or narrate this post on other websites, video platforms, etc. without permission. Sorry. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Holy. That's a classic, man. Well, we'll read it. Whatever. Let me turn the music down a little bit. If you don't mind losing something you value in order to obtain something else, the game of waiting ritual might interest you. It's a bit of a gamble, of course. You have no control over what you lose, nor are you able to specify what you'd like to win. But if that doesn't bother you, and if you're intrigued by the idea of a supernatural tit for tat, well, there's something you might want to think about trying. Players, one principle, requirements, matches or a lighter, something that burns, a calendar, a clock or timekeeping device, instructions making the preparations. Choose the day on which you plan to play. To do so, first consult your calendar and choose an upcoming date that is for you special in some way. It might be your birthday, it might be a day, a specific cultural celebration or holiday observance. It might simply be a date that is meaningful for you. Then mark your calendar, not the special day itself, but the day before the special day. The day before your special birthday. The day before your birthday. The day before your celebration or holiday. The day before the day that is meaningful to you. This will be the day on which you will play the game. Now wait. Wait for this day to arrive. Do not miss it. But while you wait, you need not be idle. During this time, gather together the remainder of your supplies, timekeeping device, the matches or lighter, and the item that will burn them. Keep them somewhere convenient. And wait. Lighting the flame. When you awaken on your chosen day, the day before the special day, do this before you do anything else. Take up the matches or lighter and set the item you have chosen to burn a light. Focus your gaze on the flame. Look deeply into its center as it burns. Keeping your focus on the flame, speak aloud, gently, not too loud, the following words. Tomorrow is my special day. Make it really special. Now reach out with the dominant hand, reach towards the flame. Briefly touch your index finger to the fire as it burns. Then pull your hand away. The game begins. Letting it burn. From now until midnight, you may go about your day however you wish. There are only 2 rules. First, do not fall asleep until the game has concluded. And second, do not let the flame you have lit go out. As long as these rules are obeyed, you may do whatever you like. You may sit in the room in which you have lit the flame all day to ensure it does not go out. You may move throughout the world, taking the flame with you. You may do neither of these things and instead do something else. Whatever you do, wait. Do not fall asleep. Wait. Do not let the flame go out. Wait. When night has fallen, keep an eye on the clock. 9, 10, and 11 say wait, wait, wait. When the hand's on the clock near midnight, watch. Watch the flame. Wait and watch. At midnight, if the flame remains lit, the ritual has failed. Extinguish the flame, dispose of the items you used to make it, go to sleep, and you may try again at another time. If the flame extinguishes on its own, the ritual has succeeded. Leave your supplies where they are and now finally sleep. When you wake up in the morning on the special day, you will find that an item of value to you has gone missing. Do not search for it. You will not find it in its place. However, you will find 2 items equal in value to the item you lost. These items are your prize. Take them and be content. This is what you wanted, is it not? Additional note, due to the burning of materials, this game is considered a fire hazard. If you must play, please take common sense fire safety precautions before beginning. We are not liable for anything that may occur should you choose to play this game. The item or items you use to create the flame and the requirements, something that burns, may be any variety of different things. It may be a candle, which you light and leave burning for the duration of the game. It may be kindling or firewood, which you pile in a fireplace and light to create a merry crackling fire, which burns for the duration of the game. It may be a lantern, which you light and carry around with you for the duration of the game. The choice is yours. Choose wisely. You need not light the flame the very moment you awake on the day you have chosen to play. You also need not light it in your bedroom or wherever you have woken up. If you have chosen to light the fire in your fireplace as your flame, for instance, you may awake, rise from your bed, dress, take yourself from the room in which the fireplace is located, and begin lighting the fire then. If you like, sorry. Before you do anything else simply means before you begin about your day in earnest. So follow a lot of obscure rules, but your best stuff goes missing. Just light a fire, burn your finger. That's all you got to do. You need not stay in the same location as a flame for the entire duration of the game, although it obviously not advisable to leave a burning flame unattended. It is recommended that you stay within the presence of the flame throughout the game, but it is not required that you do so. If you fall asleep, the game is automatically forfeit. If the flame goes out before midnight, the game is automatically forfeit. Do not attempt to keep playing after a forfeit. That would be cheating. concerning the item of value. Of value does not necessarily mean monetary or financial. What is value to you? What is all that matters? Are you prepared to take that gamble? Good old Yathua. That's the gamble you pick. One of these days, we're going to get someone to take one of these rituals. Probably not the hide and seek ones. Those are pretty creepy. But that seemed like a pretty benign one. I don't know. Let us know. What is in the carpet? It's square. It's right there. That's weird. It's like a Lego brick. It's like a foot massager. I look like a maniac when I'm doing that, but it feels good. Kaintar will do it. He ain't scared. Well, Kaintar, the link's up there. It's in the chat. Jay posted it. Let us know how it goes. I think that concludes stories. We've been going for about 2 hours. Pretty good stream. If y'all have any creepy stories that y'all want me to read, let me know. Maybe some stuff that happened to you. I don't know. What do you got? The small radio ritual, if someone's brave enough to try. Jay, we're going to have to do that one of these days. Maybe not. I mean, whatever. You had to go into your attic to grab something, and your Jurassic Park toy, I couldn't read that, started going off. The sound and lights, so I went to turn it off, and it was already off. I take the batteries out, and there were none. Ooh. Really creepy. That's spoopy, bud. It's truly spoopy. Sleek said you might be doing something after dinner. What does that mean, Sleek? You might be doing some creepy stuff, or Sleek likes to get high, like really high. We get unlimited luck for the rest of the year, but then have to run from an unseen entity the following year. I mean, maybe I get lucky figuring out how to make invisibility cloaks, huh? A Fresnel lens or something, or maybe not Fresnel. It's one of those. I don't know. I don't know if I'd do something like that. Would you guys do that? Have unlimited luck for a year? I need to find my a little USB router. It's somewhere. Probably get high and chat on Discord and blast tunes. That's, I mean, you'll look for the ritual. We're right on. Yeah, I do keep yawning a bunch, don't I? Okie dokie, I gotta go put the kids to bed. Isn't that weird to say? Being an adult. Yeah. Sheesh, huh? Am I right? No, just me? That's fine. Anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for coming to the stream. It's been a fun 2 hours. We will do more of this when I come back from days off. Probably not for the first day or two because I like to sleep, catch up on my sleep. It is really weird. Well, thank you all for coming. You're not used to saying the word kids? Don't let the bed bugs get too handsy. They better not. I look forward to sleeping in my bed. It is truly, it's great. It's great. Have a good one. Bye for now, all. David, have a great one. Thanks for coming. Everybody, thank you for coming out. It was a lot of fun. And I will see you all next time.